Yeah, I'm Rainbow. So Muriel is my partner. So yeah, we are going to have a workshop because that's good news that today just only a few of us, 20 more people. So that will be great that we can have a small group and then we can create more space for more interactive workshop today. Okay. So make sure that you didn't go the classroom wrongly because this is the course for Social Innovation 101. So next classroom will be about the lean setup, about the business model. So make sure you are in the correct venue, okay? So yeah, who am I? Yeah, I'm your facilitator. Yeah. You know, I don't want to be a teacher on lecture today because you know I love more interaction and then I love to share actually what I have and what we learned before and our experience to you. So that's why you know I'm not a presenter. Actually, you know today PowerPoint we have more than 100 slides, so I'm not going to make sure that I must go with it because you know the most important thing of today is that actually what you will learn. Yeah. So be more interactive. So if you've got questions and you have some hesitation when we are sharing some PowerPoint, just interrupt us, no problem. Just raise your hand and, okay, Rainbow, I got some problem. I want to learn more. And then I want to know more, blah, blah, blah. That's okay, okay? So very casual because, you know, we would like to have some case sharings and then we have also, we'll give you some practical skills and some model for you to brainstorm. I know maybe all of you are, you know, the competitors of the, you know, the potential participants of the SE challenge. So I know you are preparing your business plan, and then I know you are preparing some, you know, the concrete execution plan. And actually, I just talked with you, and then you said, "Oh, Rainbow, I didn't have a really concrete idea." It will be fine because today in this workshop we are going to stimulate you, you know, to think more in detail or more in concrete way to let you know more actually how we generate a new idea and actually how social innovation model will go through in different journeys. Okay, so I'll introduce myself. Actually, I'm also a social entrepreneur. Yeah, I start my own business since my 18 years old. 18 years old. And then actually, don't guess actually how I am. Yeah, I will not talk to you. Okay, it's a secret for all ladies. Yeah, yeah. So actually, in the past, I already have my 4 startups, and then 2 of the business already sold out. They are also social enterprise, and then right now I'm doing another project called Microforce that support the women from the low-income family to be self-reliant through the sales of artwork of Microforce. Actually, it's a mini layer. You know the terrarium? Yeah, have a mini ponds, moss inside the jar or some bodies. Okay, so Muriel, it's a time for you to introduce a little bit about yourself and Unlimited. Yeah.
Okay, so hello everyone. Can you all hear me? That's great. So my name is Muriel. It's Muriel. A lot of people like pronounce it wrongly, say Mario, Mario, whatever, but it's Muriel. And so a little bit introduction of myself. I work for a social incubator in Hong Kong called Unlimited. So if you see that picture up there, UNLTD, that's how you pronounce it, Unlimited. So what we do is we push forth social innovation in Hong Kong. And we do something specifically we call incubation. Anybody heard of this term incubation before? Nobody? Nobody's heard of incubation?
That's really great.
Yeah, that's great.
That's why you are here, okay?
Yeah, that's why you're here. Basically, incubation is a word you borrow from the laboratory. Have you heard of it? The laboratory, when you do like these cell dishes and everything, you put these dishes under like a certain higher temperature and you incubate it so that the cells grow. So we kind of borrowed that laboratory term and use it for our sector. And so while people incubate like cell dishes, we incubate you guys. So for whenever someone has a great idea that they want to develop into, and we call it social innovation. And then, but we all understand that at the initial stage, it's actually a very hard process. That's why we need support. We need like a little bit of money and also a little bit of mentorship. And that's what we provide in Hong Kong. If you take a look at this picture here, I actually helped design this picture. But there's a reason why I want to talk about it because it really represents very much what Unlimited is about. By the way, Unlimited is an incubator that started in 2014, but this is a brand that came from UK. It's been around for 10 years, and ever since we've spread all around the world. Basically, we've got one in Taiwan, we've got one in the United States, we've got one in UK. We'll start in UK, and then now possibly Hong Kong and then India as well. So basically, what we do is that. I'll go back to this picture. A lot of people think of Hong Kong as like a major financial center and whatever and things, but there's a reason why when we thought of the branding of Unlimited, we chose this picture because Unlimited is all about supporting street level kind of wisdoms. Like we want to empower like normal people, ordinary citizens, to create their own grassroots movement. And come up with these great ideas for social innovation. So one thing that we totally believe is we believe in that every person has the power to change this world, including you guys here. So what we do is, if you're an ordinary person, and the responsibility should not be with the government or should not be in the elite's hands. It should be in you guys' hands. That's why Unlimited is here in Hong Kong to help people like you. If you've got a great idea for innovation, we're going to give you mentorship, network, even some seed funding. To start a project. So if you guys, I'm sorry I have to do a little bit of introduction of our company. So if you lose out in Hong Kong SAC, it's okay. You can come to Unlimited and then you can get funding from us and we'll help you with it, okay? Yes, so enough advertising. This is our program, enough of that. So yeah, that's what we do. We give you some kind of mentorship. That's it. So let's go through what we're going to cover today. We have part 1 and part 2. For part 1, the whole deal will be about focusing on the social issues in Hong Kong. The reason it's called social innovation is because you're trying to solve a social problem, right? Right? You're in the right room. I hope you are in the right room. And the second part, after you understand what social issues are all about, how you define the problem, part 2 will all be about your solution. Over how you can generate ideas to solve that social issue. So for the next 1.5 hours, we're going to in-depth focus on the social issues arena, and then we'll go to solutions part. But before we go into all of that talk, I want to start with this question. I understand a lot of you are here because you think there's some sort of secret formula that you're going to take away, and then overnight you'll become a social entrepreneur. But before that, I think there's something that we want to emphasize. We want to find out why you're even here. Like, why do you even want to become like a social entrepreneur? And do you know what a social entrepreneur is? This is what to define it simply, we say it's called social entrepreneur because that person basically is an entrepreneur with a social mission. So how many of you think that you are an entrepreneur already? Anybody here believe that you are an entrepreneur?
Not yet, but not yet.
So yeah, that's great.
So students.
So how many of you think that you have a social mission though? How many of you here think that you have a social mission? Nobody thinks you have a social mission?
Everybody is still thinking,
Oh my god, if you don't think you have a social mission, then can you just tell me why you're here? Anybody can tell me why you're here?
Compulsory. Not really.
You gotta answer this. I'm not gonna move on unless you tell me why you're here. Why are you in this class? Like, what do you want to achieve?
What's the definition of social
entrepreneur?
Social to me, social mission to be anything.
Yeah.
So how do you define?
That's great. Let me move on to the definition then. Basically, Stanford defines it this way. They say that a social entrepreneur are individuals with innovative solutions to society's most pressing social problems. And these are people who use entrepreneurial principles to organize, create, and manage a venture to make social change happen. So how many of you are in line with this? Can you kind of know, or do you have really no idea what a social entrepreneur is? But, well, if you haven't thought of that question, it's great. I'm going to give you an exercise in your hands right now. There's like a sheet for you to think about it. And this is the exercise, and you're going to spend some time on it later. But before we do this exercise, let me explain a little bit why we're talking about this topic here. So what Unlimited believes in is that you you have to find within yourself entrepreneur qualities or social entrepreneur qualities, and you gotta use that. And that will be, at the end of the day, you realize that that is something that is going to push you, drive you forward. Like all the knowledge, all the tactics or strategy that you discover, they're gonna pass. But whatever that you discover in yourself, that will turn you into, that will put you on the right path. That will turn you into the social entrepreneur and help you achieve success. So, but to let you understand, to help you really understand the qualities of a social entrepreneur, let's look at some real life examples. How many of you here recognize this girl? Great,
Yeah.
that's perfect. The class before, a lot of them didn't recognize her. But I was really scared. So this is Malala, and you know, to be a social entrepreneur, rule number one, you gotta be someone who takes notice of the world, of what's happening in the world. If you don't even know what's happening in the world, you can't be a social entrepreneur. You can't solve its issues. So this is Malala, and everybody knows her, right? But how many of you know this girl? Sorry, her name is got covered up, but it's very hard to pronounce. Her name is Shisha Shahid. So this girl is also in Pakistan. Wait, first of all, how many of you know the Malala story, right? Okay,
Yeah, I think some of them don't know, yeah.
Okay, so let me remind you a little bit. Okay, in 2012, how many of you remember the news of how there was once upon a time in 2012 a girl from Pakistan when the Taliban army took over the whole nation. They sort of imposed on everyone, saying using their violence and their military weapons, saying that no girls should be allowed in the classroom, no girls should go to school. But do you know what happened to Malala? She was a girl at the age of 12, standing up for her rights. She walked, despite just weapons in her face, but she walked in the classroom saying that I have the right to be educated. And her result is that she got shot in the face. And you know what, this girl is also originally from Pakistan, but by that time when that incident happened, she's already like studying in Stanford. She actually has an iBanking internship, and she's already got like several hundred thousands of salary. And basically her choices, when she heard the story of Malala, she literally laid down all her work. And she flew all the way to take this girl under her wing and put her in a hospital and nurture her until she's awake. And when she got awake, she promised her one thing: Malala, you are an inspiration. I'm going to turn you into the world's inspiration. I'm going to be the person behind you to make sure your voice as an educator, that your voice is heard everywhere. So basically the reason Malala is so, have you heard of her book? She's got a book, it's an international bestseller. And in 2016, there's even a movie coming up that is produced by Brad Pitt and Angelina, which is supported by her. That's about Malala's story. But can you imagine it? When this girl made that promise, she was only 23 years old. She was 33 years old. She knew nothing about what entrepreneurship is. She didn't know what it means to create a Malala fund or anything. She didn't know any of that. But what she had the passion. She had the purpose, she had the motivation. And because of that, she made that promise, it led her to where she is today. So, next picture. Anybody recognize this girl? Yes, that's Rainbow.
It's me!
Rainbow. I would say, the reason I'm putting her picture up is because, not just because she's a social entrepreneur, it's because, yes, one is in Hong Kong, the other girl is in Pakistan, but there's something in common between them that makes them who they are as a social entrepreneur. And I want you guys to think about these qualities. And they are, both of these people, they don't just follow, they create, okay? You know, these people, they don't just, we live in a world where most of the time you're asked to conform, right? You're asked to follow, just copy what others do. But even at the age of 16, I mean, nobody would, even without much money, Rainbow, you know, she made an initiation to create her own Thai Post sweet shop. It's a sweet dessert shop that's so famous, people would line all the way up to make it happen. And so you see, like people must have told her that you shouldn't be doing this thing, you should be studying, right? But then she didn't care. She followed her dreams.
I'm still studying, okay?
Yes, and second of all, they want to see the world in a better place. In other words, you'll notice that these people, albeit their young age, they have goals bigger than themselves. You know, when I was 21, I was thinking about, hey, who am I going to date? Am I going to find a job? When I'm going to get married? You know, I think about these things. But then these people at the age of 22, they think about, oh my God, I care about girls' right to be educated. You know, they care about something that is much grander than themselves. And that becomes their drive to become a social entrepreneur and to go on a journey of social innovation. So apparently they're leaders. So in the next 3 minutes maybe, I want you to go through this sheet here. Can everybody take a look at the sheet? And you'll see that we've prepared, Unlimited has a certain model, and we prepared a list of questions for you to think about. Can you please reflect on these questions, go through these, like, you have to answer, you try to do some self-reflection time. Ask yourself, do you feel passionate about changing the status quo? And can you empathize with others' situations? I would really suggest that you can't really answer all of these questions in 2 minutes, but this is something that I would definitely recommend that you go back to time and time again. Because, like I said, at the end of the day, it is not what you know that will going to carry you far. It's who you are. You know, social entrepreneurship isn't about what you do as much as it is about who you are. So if you find within yourself that quality that you can use to help push yourself forward, then you've got to take hold of that. But now I'm going to give you like 2 minutes to go through it. So these questions aren't for you to answer right now. You can go back to them as you go on your own social innovation journey. So moving on, just to wrap up this section, I want you guys to think about what a real social, basically what we're trying to bring out is concerning the topic of what a real social entrepreneur is that it's not about knowledge or skills, okay? Let me tell you a little story of this funny thing that I had. 3 to 4 weeks ago, I was in Germany, and I was on a train from Berlin to Hamburg. And then, you know, in those trains, you have these little dining tables, right? And then, it's so funny, I was sitting in my seat, and then I see this older gentleman who was sitting right across me, and then we started talking. And then as we continued, I was like trying to continue to find out who he is. It turns out he's a guy who owns a castle. He owns a castle, and he tells me that he has about 1,000 employees. And then as I further asked questions, I realized he's actually a guy called Nos, and he's the CEO of a German company called LDB Group. And what this company does is it engineers future solutions for the whole of Europe. What they do is they take up people's businesses. We're talking about like all kinds of big businesses like Ford. You know, have you heard of Ford? You know, and other kinds of things. They help these people look at their businesses and do customer market researches, and try to think of new products and help them innovate their products. And they're actually the best in town. But then he said something that was really inspiring that stayed with me. He told me that you can be the smartest person in the world. You can do everything right and still fail because it takes much more than intelligence. It takes character. And being in line with what that guy said would be another guy, the co-founder of Twitter. He said, timing, perseverance, and 10 years of trying will eventually make you look like an overnight success. So what we're trying to tell you here is that whatever that you're learning today, it will not be as important as, you know, who you are as a person. Like if you gotta have this character of a social entrepreneur, of a can-do spirit, having all of that, you know, perseverance and patience and trust and all that, and most importantly, passion and purpose. At the end of the day, what will carry you far is the passion and the purpose you have. And I would really encourage you today to find out your passion. And if you find that out, then everything will come along much easier. So one last quote, there's a famous French novelist called Antoine de Exupéry. He said something like this: if you want to build a ship, don't drum up people to collect wood and don't assign them tasks and work, but rather teach them to long for the endless immensity of the sea. So if you love something, that will carry you very far. Okay, so let me move on. Everybody likes to start everything with definitions, so I'll just go into this definition here. So if you're here to learn social innovation, and how Stanford defines that would be this: a novel solution to a social problem that is more effective, efficient, sustainable, or just than the existing solutions. Anybody knows what that means? Can I just say, when I read that, I had no idea what it means. I have to say, that's the funny thing about social innovation, and this is a point that we're trying to send across is, if you really want to become a social innovator, please don't go online and sit in your room all day typing about definitions and trying to find out from a textbook what social innovation is. What social innovation really is when you drop these definitions and go out there in the world and really look at what is social, observe for yourself and look at what social innovation is in the world. Later on, I'm going to share with you more examples. But, and also, unlimited style is to simplify everything for you guys. So instead of looking at this definition, let's think about this. You only have one focus today. That is your next step, and it is about, can you think of anything you can do to make someone's life better? That's basically, in essence, what social innovation is about. Okay, so if you can answer that question, then you've achieved something. So basically, I can go through that. To have a complete picture of social innovation, they usually go through 7 stages. It starts with opportunities and challenges. That is the part 1 of today, where we'll look at social issues, because every problem presents an opportunity for you to solve, so that's your opportunity. And the second part of the workshop is the generating ideas part, where you have to really think in more in-depth ways about your solution. The third stage would be you develop and test it, because the solutions, we gotta create a prototype that works, and you gotta test it, and it might not work. So that's why you go through it, and you make a case, deliver, blah, blah, blah. That's all the way up to the 7th stage, but you are here. That's where you are. So you can think about that. So let's move on to part 1. I'll pass the time back to Rachel.
Yes, thanks, Muriel. I think it's really important for you to understand more about actually what happened around the world, especially we're talking about some, local issue. But before moving to local one, I would like you to, stimulate you to think about the global issues. So next pictures. Yeah, maybe you can. Okay, what's the problem is, I like to ask questions. Yes, poverty and starvation. Just 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, what happened? 1 child died for starvation. That's really true. But in the other, in the other world, what happened? Overconsumption. Okay, what did you eat yesterday?
Buffet, maybe.
Buffet? Yeah, I think, do you know Hong Kong, in Hong Kong, how much tons of food waste just one day? How many tons, do you know? It's talking about 290, 290 ton. That's the waste for one day. Okay, next. What's the guns talking about? Yeah, air pollution, that's it. A year, at least, that's killed a lot of people. 60, 100 people were killed because of air pollution. Next. That's really pretty. We lost 36 football fields of forests per minute. You just count 1 to 60. Then one football field of forest will be disappeared. That's true. Do you know that? And another 60 seconds. What happened? A species died out. 绝种了. Just 1 minute. One species, not one animal, not one person, but one species died out, It's really important to know. So actually, how does this issue affect you? Yeah, how it's related to you? It's not a real issue until you understand how it impacts you or anyone else. You will say, oh, it's none of my business. Maybe. Is it? Okay, it's really global issue, but I think maybe in your mind still there are lots of global issues. Maybe lots of different kinds of races. Still a lot of problems that I haven't mentioned here. So how about in Hong Kong? So it's your home.
I don't know if it's your home, but you live in Hong Kong.
Yeah, what are some pressing social issues you can think of around your community? Can you bring us up?
joined Hong Kong Sec Challenge, right? So you've got to have a social issue.
Yeah, I think maybe some of you can share a little bit.
Yeah. Just
Can you think of some social issue in Hong Kong?
It's not the
homeless people? That just
ethnic minorities and their access to education.
Oh, that's true.
That's true. Minority problem, education, elderly, a lot. So I'm going to stimulate you to think more. Here is some figures. 1.5 million live in poverty. So do you know actually what the definition of poverty in Hong Kong? Do you know actually it's a relative concept. It's not talking about when people they just got maybe $10,000 per month and it's that you are in poverty. Not in this way, but it's a relative concept. Now 1 in 5 people they just live below 3,000 dollars something per month. Do you know that? So lots of working poor. So are you in this group? Are you in working poor? Yeah, because a lot of people in working poor. Maybe I'm one of the one. Yeah, and then how about the children? We got 300,000 children. They do not get meals a day. They are maybe in some degree in starvation too. In Hong Kong, in this so bustle and hustle and so civilized city, we still have some children that they actually don't have meals. How about elderly? Yeah, I heard some of the students and then you said, we are focusing on elderly. We are thinking about some project about elderly. It's talking about 290,000 elderly actually under poverty line. But only 70% of them actually they are receiving the CSSA, the Social Security assistance from government. So how you can imagine, some elders how their lives will be. Okay, other issues, that is also very important. 2018, what happened? Yeah, where is our wastage? Where is the rubbish will we go? We don't know. And next is really impressive. Now in Hong Kong, 1.7 million people that actually they are suffering from the mental problems and illness. So that means, in Hong Kong, how many population we are? Just 7 million, just 7 million more. But just 1.7 million people actually are suffering from mental illness like this, anxiety, depressions. Maybe you look at your friends, maybe actually she or he actually got some mental problem. Yeah, that's true. A lot of people, they suppressing their feelings and then they got some problem, but they don't want to get labeled. And then they don't tell others, actually I got mood disorder, maybe I got some problem of depression. Yeah, that's really alarming figures. And also something about development. It's about time planning and a lot of, some heritage and even some cultural area, they are, gradually disappear right now. Oh, okay. Next, how does each of these issues affect you? Yeah, we turn to point 1 actually. Yeah, what of these issues are related to you? What that problem is related to you? Yeah, so it's really important for you to think deeper, that's important, yeah. So we won't discover the motivation to solve these problems unless they are also your problems. So that's really what we have to do. So do you got some worksheet at hand about problem trees? Yeah. So I think every one of you will got A3 paper. It's a blank paper. It's a blank paper sheet. So it's a time for you to think about more about some problems. So I just take one example, like elderly problem. So I think just A3 is a blank sheet now. So everyone get ready. I just take one example about the elderly problem in Hong Kong. So how many of you know about some figures? You know, in some projection about the alarming elderly problem? It's not about in 2035, you know, 1 in 4 Hong Kong residents will be elderly, will become aged over 65 or above. Yeah. So, you know, at present, it's talking about almost 1 million elders in Hong Kong, and then actually, you know, 20 to 30,000 of these elderly are living in poverty. So if you're thinking about elderly problems, so how we can think deeper about this kind of, you know, our service audience, or, you know, that kind of people, how we can think about more deeply about their problem. Okay, did you remember what the pictures is about at the, you know, left corner at the top? It's about the news. It's talking about the elder, they live without dignity. It's about the news that, you know, the rumor was disclosed, and then they actually, a lot of poor living conditions are facing by the elderly, you know. The inefficiency, physical and psychological and social health support, that's what all the elders need. Okay, so do we have an age-friendly society? So have you ever thought of maybe your mother or your dad, or in some year, all of you become an elder, so do you have friends and what will you do? And that's the picture from you know, Japan, and Miru said the story. Do you see the robot?
And it's just really crazy. In Japan, they have more old people. I'm not sure if they have more old people, but they also have the same problem as we do. They have lots of old people they need to support. But we're talking about their society is sophisticated enough that they can support this sort of innovation. They literally just spend millions of dollars into designing this little robot here that teaches elderly how to do exercise. Okay? But what did we get in Hong Kong? Like, we get in Hong Kong, like, you really go around the private homes, everywhere. You can't even see them, you don't see a smile, first of all, but if you really spend time there, you realize that a lot of old people don't even get to, you know, get baths, get washed by, you know, their caregiver 1 time a day. They need to wait out for 2 days before somebody can go there and help take care of them. And, you know, it's that sort of dignity that's lacking.
So, you know, a lot of private elderly home, because right now it's lacking a lot of care worker.
Yeah.
But, you know, because of license, the audience from the government, and they have to, you know, maintain certain ratio of the care worker and you know, the staff in the elderly home. So sometimes, you know, some private practice is actually really bad, is that they just find somebody to sit, they pay maybe $35 maybe a mother or a woman. Okay, please come to my elderly home, just sit here. Because your title will become the care worker, but you don't need to do anything, you just sit here. Because they need to maintain certain extent of, you know, the ratio of the care worker. But actually they provide no service to the elders. Yeah, they work nothing, they just receive some more money and then they just sit here. Because, you know, some of the boards of this kind of private elderly homes, they really afraid that, you know, the government, they come to do some regular check, to do the license check. So that's why, you know, how appalling maybe, you know, the elders actually in this kind of private elderly homes. Okay, so let's move to the activity 3, as that actually we would like you to think more deeply about, you know, some social issue. So I hope after you got some pictures, or, you know, some maybe some problems or social issue around Hong Kong or maybe global, so you can figure out one of your focus about, you know, you got the problems that you would like to be solved, or you want to be handled it or tackled with, okay? So why is a problem? So maybe you need to repeat this question many times in your mind, and then you have to ask. So do you have some answer in your mind right now? Yeah, that's really important that because next we will share with you about the problem trees. Actually, the model, how you analyze and how you make up some problems and then how to go through and get the pictures more comprehensively and more precisely. So we've got 3 steps, okay? You can see 3 questions that first, who is experiencing this problem? Who? Is an elder, is a teenager, is a single mother, or is a new arrival, or is, maybe yourself, maybe some, the primary students, whatever. You still have a target audience, right?
Yeah, for example, of like ethnic minority.
Yeah.
There's a friend who says ethnic, but what kind of ethnic minority specifically? Like, we're talking about like, from what background, which community do they belong to? Do they live in Shamshui-Po? Are you talking about that group or which specific group? Yeah.
Yeah, so first question is who is experiencing this problem? Second, what is the scale of the problem? I think if you look about problem, I think at least you will find different degree of problem and actually what's their behavior, like the mother, the single mother, and actually what the single mother will face the problem, actually what's their difficulties and how their life will be. So you can imagine and or maybe you can think more about it, okay? But why does this problem exist? Yeah, you got to answer why, because you need to understand more fluently and then you have to understand why you got so difficult, why you feel not happy. You have to ask more about why, okay? So next is talking about the problem tree model. And then I invite you, actually, you can use the paper that we distribute to you, the A3 empty paper. Maybe first, maybe you can just opposite it, fold it in half, yeah. And then at the top of the page, you can thinking about what's your focal problem. Maybe elderly, but try to be more specific, okay, be more concrete. Because in the coming section, and then me and Vero, and then we will come over to your group, and then we can share more. But try to be focused and be more concrete. So what is your focal problem you are going to explore, okay? So at the top of the page, I invite you to think more actually, what you see about the problem, actually how the problem will be. Maybe you can think about some case or some people. That's really good. You just write it down. Maybe some story about your friend or actually what you actually experienced before. Maybe it's your case, it's okay. So maybe if you don't want to write some work, you want some pictures, then this will be okay, because don't need to submit to me, okay? It's for your own reference and then for you to learn more. So try to write more as possible that you can think of. I encourage you to discuss with your partner because I know you have to work as a team in the future. So if you come along, it will be okay, and then you can think more. But if you have some partners just sitting around you, maybe try to discuss and inspire more to each other and think more deeply about what problem it will be, okay? So next question is that maybe you can use the bottom of the page.
Yeah.
Here. So like a tree, root. So what you absorb from the root will affect actually how the fruit will grow and whether it's healthy growth or is really insufficient nutrients, right? So it's talking about why and the reason behind. So actually it's a really simple logical deduction. It's a simple concept, but it's practical. If you really can think in details, try to figure out actually, okay, I state a lot of problem, a lot of case, or a lot of some phenomenon, maybe different kinds of things at the top about the problem. So you try to ask why. And try to analyze one by one, step by step. You can discuss with each other. Okay. So from here, so do you have more questions about it? Yeah, you can raise questions. Yeah, that's really good question. So you can see some level 1, 2, 3, or you can see the different level of course. So usually, if you're thinking about a lot of some points on at the paper, and then actually usually it will have some combination or have some relationship. And next step, you can try to coordinate it. But maybe first step, I invite you to brainstorm. Just write as possible, as more as you can, and then for brainstorming first.
Do the upper part of the tree first. try to describe the problem specifically. Like, you can apply that why question to the problem tree, meaning when you say elderly condition is a problem, I challenge you, why is it a problem? How do you know it's a problem? What evidence do you have to support this claim that it is a problem? So maybe on the upper part of the tree, you would say, oh, elderly is in a poor condition. How poor? Describe it. You draw another level above, like say the effect that you see is, elderly, like maybe, I don't know, 50,000 elderlies have health issues based on the report. What kind of health issues? Be specific. Oh, maybe a part of them have mental health problems, like they have dementia, or some of them might have physical ailments, like they have arthritis, or they have heart problems. Try to define it further. Define it until that you're able to describe the whole problem phenomena. Just define it so in such a refined way. And once you've done that, you go back to the lower part of the tree. Okay, the lower part of the tree is where you try to understand the cause. Like, why are the Japanese people so healthy, and like the elderly so healthy, and why aren't we as healthy? Is it because culturally we don't have enough campaigns or awareness? Like government's not doing enough, or maybe the family, the culture itself in Hong Kong, we don't care enough about our elderly. There's not enough awareness to care about our elderly's health. There's a lot of reasons, but you've got to try to brainstorm and be specific.
Yeah. So maybe we can get back to the first line, the 3 questions. Who is experiencing this problem, and what is the scale, and how it will be? Try to describe it. And then why does this problem exist? Okay? So I really encourage you to get involved. Yeah. If you just sit here and actually it's waste your time, because you come here and actually it's so good, and then try to learn more by doing. Me and Vero will be around here. So if you cannot think of and then you find difficulty, just let us know and we will try to discuss more with you. Okay? Okay, everyone did a good job. Yeah, I saw lots of, a lot of statements and a lot of cases. I think maybe some of you may face the problem is that actually at that moment you are quite confusing. Actually, you are still really confusing. But it's okay, because I think this model and this framework is trying to help you to think more deeply and more precisely about what you're going to do, especially what the focal problem and how to analyze it and how you perceive the problem. So it will be fine if you need to be adjusted. Yeah, because from time to time when you visualize something in an A3 paper and then you are thinking about it, oh, maybe we need some change and then we need some adjustment, it will be fine. It's just tools to help you to think more precisely and then be more visualized to understand your problem deeply. Okay? Okay, let's move on. So sometimes when we're talking about some social issues, actually, we're talking about the needs actually unmet, especially in Hong Kong. We're talking about, in this morning, some of the students were talking about, oh, we got some friends, they got depression, they got some with disorder problem. But this is the personal problem or it's a social problem for you. If your friend got depression, do you think that is a personal problem or is a social problem? Social, personal, social, both. Okay. Yeah, it should be. Yeah. So sometimes if we talking about social problem, actually how we define actually is talking about some common needs unmet. Yeah. Maybe some friends they got depressions, but if many people they got depressions, I think it's no longer a personal issue. Yeah, it would become a social problem, and it's really an alarming social problem because a lot of people they got mental unhealthy, and it's really not good for the future development of our society. Okay, so that's the social problems, and differentiate with personal problem. Okay, it's talking about common needs unmet. Okay, so when we move on, most of the time we're talking about the value proposition. Because, sometimes I think that is important for me, but maybe to your friend or other person, they think, oh, actually I don't think this is important for me. It's talking about value. So how you value something, yeah. So in the society, also we need to adjust and compromise. Sometimes, that is the needs for somebody, or maybe for the elders or for the teenagers. But is it really for the needs of the society, the whole things? So
Yeah.
yeah.
Just explain a little bit. It's very important to reverse the perspective. Like, you guys were thinking about the problems, right? And actually, by tackling the problem doesn't necessarily mean you're doing an innovation. If you try to reverse the angle and think that a problem is being defined by when a certain need is not met, and you try to focus on what is the need that is being not met and being frustrated, then there's the beginning of social innovation, because you suddenly realize, hey, I'm not here to solve that problem, I'm here to meet someone's needs. But then Rainbow will explain for what exactly are these needs are, and that will inform your value proposition and then the model of your innovation.
Yeah, that's really true.
So sometimes if you really look more about the problem, so you need to be empathetic. Yeah, you need to be empathetic. So does anyone know more about empathy? Yeah, have you learned about this word? Yeah. So do you understand how they feel so sad? Do you understand actually why they are crazy cried with? Yeah, that's the problem and that's the reason behind. So can you really feel actually what they are feeling? Yeah, that's really important. So that's also important. It's one of the skills that how well do you understand their needs. So if you're talking about some young teenagers, they may be just in rehabilitation state. Do you know actually what their challenges and what their difficulties? Yeah, can you feel what they are feeling? Yeah, that's really important, So sometimes we are talking about sympathy and empathy. So do you know what's the difference? Sympathy is talking about you feeling for someone, but empathy is sometimes feeling with someone. You are with him, you are with her. When they are in difficulty, you are being together, you become her companion. Okay, give you some challenge. So that means if you want to create something new, or you got some innovation idea, actually it's talking about how the market is talking about the demand and supply sometimes. So you can think about supermarket and art jamming. Why people they love to go art jamming? Why people they want to go supermarket instead of some mini store? Yeah, there is a need. Yeah.
Every innovation fulfills a need. But have you ever thought of, like, for example, the creation of art jamming? How's it different from art classes? Art classes fulfill a certain need, but how does art jamming differ from that? Does it fulfill any extra needs that you don't know?
Can you think of? Anyone tried art jamming? No, that's why you cannot imagine. How about Facebook? I think every one of you got a Facebook account, okay? Don't tell me, actually, I have not yet tried Facebook, okay? Why you use Facebook instead of email or like a call, or even you can, or maybe you write a letter and you do it by local mail. Why you use Facebook? Well, actually, Facebook is satisfied some of you guys. Actually, you play every day and then you check every minute. Yeah. What Facebook actually satisfy your needs? Yeah. Can you think of?
Do you understand your own needs?
They want to be seen by others.
Oh, yeah. That's maybe.
That's very.
And then you want to check others actually what they are doing in minutes, right? Yeah, and then I think you need some friends, is it? You need to be response promptly, and then you want people to know what you are doing. You need friends in the online system, right? So I think that's a really interesting example that actually I think you can easily to imagine. Every business or every innovation idea actually behind they are meeting some needs of different peoples. So these pictures.
Anyone seen this before? Oh, nobody's seen this.
Really? Yeah. So did all of you already know this? It's a Maslow theory. It's talking about a basic of the needs of a person. So first level is talking about some physical needs. Or you need a shelter and then you need food, okay? And then second is talking about you need some safety and then being loved, and then you need some self-esteem, be confident, and at the end of the day you have to be got self-actualization. You long for some artistic fulfillment. So it's a classical theory talking about people needs. Yeah, but
Simple
that's-
classification of
yeah, I think it's really classical. So next, actually, we would like to introduce you another more modern theories about mass needs. Yeah. So you've got some worksheets. You got the checklist. What actually is about. So later on, a lot of psychologists talking about not only these 5 levels of needs of people, right?
Yeah.
So like teenagers or everyone, they need, freedom, maybe participation and creativity, and sometimes you need being companion. You need some friends, and then you need more than only these 5 levels. So if you try to start with how you work with this kind of people, then I think first step you need to understand what they need, or in general, actually what a person or a human being, what they need. Yeah, I think it's good for you to be more, having some more resources to make a reference.
You guys need to understand what an individual need is, and then when that individual needs is shared by many others, it becomes a need of a society. And if you really look at our society and you compare what are the needs that are not being fulfilled right now, then those necessarily become a certain kind of social issue or problem. Do you see that? The more you understand the needs, the more you will be able to find your value proposition. So anybody can tell me what's the difference between a need and a want? Do you know the difference between a need and a want? Need is necessity, and want is not necessity. Yeah, that's a good way of defining it. Right. But let me define it a little bit further for you. Max Neef is actually also an economist who studies third world problems, like third world economic problems. And you notice that in order for an economy, for civilization to uprise and become a proper economy, there are a whole taxonomy of needs that an economy, that a market needs to fulfill in order to become a civilization. So basically what he's saying is, how needs differ from want is when you discover that a certain need remains constant, meaning 100 years ago, you have a need for love, all right? 100 years later, you still have a need for love. Whereas 100 years ago, you might not want a phone or whatever, but 100 years later, you might want that. So a need is something that's constant. You realize that the world is formed out of these needs. And whatever that is eternal, that stays forever, comes from fulfilling these needs. So if you can think of your innovation model, if you can create a value proposition that fulfills an eternal need, then we can guarantee you, for example, that Facebook will be around for much longer because it fulfills an everlasting need for connection, for human beings to connect with each other. And we don't know, we want more of this connection, right? So maybe the next, Mark Zuckerberg, the next person will think of a hyper way of connecting. We don't know, because the need stays forever. And it's all about expressing it in a different way, or in a more advanced and progressive way. So yeah, just go through the needs at home.
Yeah, I think it's just for your reference. So try to go through it maybe at home, or maybe share with your teammates that they are not here today. Yeah. Okay, next is another really important skill. It's talking about empathy, or you have to understand actually what happened and people around you, especially you are going to serve or targeting audience. So the model is quite simple. It's talking about your eyes and your ears and then, your brain and your mind. So if you, I try to invite you to be more open. Be open, yeah, to see, yeah. And try to be more open to hear actually what your friends and actually what boss said and then what people telling you. Because sometimes, people, they got, a term called filtering. Do you know filtering? Because when you are listening to something, actually you are trying to filter something because it's in your unconsciously, you do something but maybe you are not quite aware. So try not to filter anything. Be more open. Try to hear actually what people are talking, and then try to be patient to listen actually what they need and then actually how they feel. Yeah. So So when at the same time, we need to feel how others feeling. So and actually what their thoughts are, and then how they think of, and it's also important. So you can see about pain and gain as the Polaroid, these pictures. So when somebody telling you, "I'm so painful," so can you really imagine how their pains come from? Yeah, why they are so frustrated? Yeah, why they are so fear? Yeah, and at the same time, actually what they need, how they will feel more satisfied, and then actually what they think that is good for me, and then how they will feel more comfortable. And then you try to map and, other than see and listen, and try to interact with them and talk with them and chat with them. Because if you want to serve maybe elderly, did you ever talk with elders, or not saying about your grandma and grandpa, maybe some some service audience or some clients that you are going to serve them. You try to talk with them, listening more about their story and telling more actually what you are going to do, and be more interactive. Okay, so that's why when we're talking about problem, it's not talking about their problem or it's your problem. So can you turn it into like our problem or it's my problem? So it's really difference between yourself and then others. Okay. So we suggest that you have to do more volunteering work, because you have to get more different experience when you try to walk into society, try to be frontline and talking with a lot of people. You will gain different experience. So in this session, we try to summarize, be more concrete. I hope you can answer these 4 questions before we moving on next, or maybe you can just take notes of this. And then first is that whom do you target to help, and then what are the needs you are addressing. So you need to think deeply and then have some focus. Okay. Second is, what insights have you gathered based on the understanding of the target people. Okay. Third question is that how would you fulfill their needs based on their insights? And then last one, what are the expected outcomes? So if you try to do something, you need to use your imagination. Try to imagine, if I implement like this, if I try to work out this model, how will be that kind of model? People to respond to your actions, and then what the outcome are you expecting?
So let me go into a reminder here around this fire. So moving on, you're now here. Can't generate ideas. Sorry, I just like doing that thing. Yeah, you're going to generate ideas. So before I go into that generation exercise, there's one thing I want you guys to do. Remember how, this is something that I emphasize again and again. Remember how I showed you guys this really, really complicated definition that I hate? I want you guys to do a step further. Whatever definitions or knowledge you have, just try to drop it. That the whole spirit of social innovation, I want to remind you, is to not follow definitions, but to really define things for yourself. Because at the end of the day, social innovation really is all about how you think. Innovation is about how you think. So what I'm going to do later on is to interact with you and help hopefully impart some thinking skills that you can use, you can rely on to generate your own ideas. So now that we've given up that definition framework, let's go into this. I want you guys to take a look at this video first.
Want me to work like a dog in a full-time job? Ha! I'm born to dance. To wear no coat, no tie, no shirt, and even no pants. I'm born to dance. You shaking your head? Well, I'll be shaking my ass, cause I'm born to dance. I wanna shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it, girl. Do you wanna shake it? I wanna shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it, y'all. Watch me dance now.
So a lot of people think that innovation is creative. You know, in the morning session, some people actually suggest it's creative. It's about solving social problems. It's about change making. It's about being a new approach, and it's about being different. So what I'm trying to encourage you here, these are actually the spirit of, innovation, of social innovation. But these are also like what we call the result. What you just saw was the result of social innovation. And also there's one point I want to try to bring out is that innovation you just saw happened in Spain. So you'll notice that if you really step out in the world, you'll see that social innovation happens all around the world. It happens according to the local and regional culture, according to the context, because in Spain, for example, people love dancing. You know, this solution might not work in Japan because Japanese might not want to dance in the streets, right? But this solution obviously works in Spain because people love dancing. So why not use that, right? But so the question goes back to you. I want you guys to define social innovation for your own, because if you're in Hong Kong, you've got to discover what you can do for Hong Kong. You've got to understand, social innovation from your own perspective and discover your unique path for it. So really break that definition box and try to think out of the box and discover your own journey of social innovation. But, there's one thing that Unlimited likes to do is to break things down and simplify things for everyone. We realize that when it comes to the whole concept of social innovation, we can only break it down to 3 things, really. First, which is something we've already dealt with together, awareness of the problem. It always starts with the problem definition, which was what we were trying to do this morning. And it starts with your awareness. And this awareness, like we said, it's got to be personal, okay? It's not something that you can I'm aware, I look at newspapers every day, I read a lot, but that's not awareness. The real kind of awareness that is relevant to social innovation comes with a personal tone. You gotta find something that you really care about and pick that and let that motivate you, okay? So it starts with awareness and action. Basically, once you've got a problem, you need to start thinking about the list of actions that you need to do to create change. So basically, that's innovation. To break it down for you, it really just involves 3 things. The theory of problem, the theory of action, and the theory of change. Using the example that we just shared, the dancing traffic light example, basically, they define the problem as not enough people wait at traffic lights. Now, and actually, it's just really funny. Something we were trying to do, what I'm trying to teach you with the problem tree was because when it comes to a problem, it usually comes with a huge pie. It could be a big problem. If we talk about the traffic problem, the bigger problem with the traffic problem would be concerning the road accidents, right? Do you know how many people die every year because of road traffic accidents and stuff? 1.25 million die every year. And half of those are vulnerable people like pedestrians and motorcyclists. But if you really look at the 3 main causes of these accidents, first would be drunk driving, second would be distracted driving, and the third I forgot. But the whole point is, actually, very little percentage of people die because of not waiting at traffic lights. very little. Where there are traffic lights installed, there are less accidents actually. So if you really think of the so-called social innovation you just saw, I actually think it's more of a publicity stunt than it is a social innovation. But in terms of creativity, yes, it does win the points. But this is something we want to encourage you to do. Do what they do, because like I said, like I went around talking to each of you, I've mentioned this, okay? We have tons of problems in Hong Kong. It's a huge pie of problems. But realistically speaking, each of you here can only make a little small impact, really. You can only, you gotta find, just tease out that big pie and find your little piece. And try to see what you can do to solve that piece. Because when 100 people of us here all solve a little piece of the problem, what does that make up? That makes for the whole pie, right? So I would really encourage you to not think of like a master plan and a grand idea, grand purpose. No, we don't start with that. Unlimited supports people with small ideas that actually work, okay? So for them, for their case, it was really funny. Basically, their result was more people wait at traffic lights, yay! So that was their change, okay? That's all, so it sounds very little, but at least it worked, right? It was a little change, there's some change there. So I really would encourage you guys to think about this. And so, breaking things down for you, innovation is all about imagining your goal state. Like, we list out the problems you want to solve, right? So the ideal state that we want to reach would be a state where the problem does not exist. For example, you saw that a lot of elderlies are not healthy, okay? So the end stage, what you would possibly want to do is to create, we want to see more healthy elderlies. And how do you define healthy? You got to define it, and that's how you define your mission statement. You got to define the kind of vision you want to achieve, okay? And start from that, and then list out a list of actions that you can do that might bring about that change. And how do you list out these actions? Actually, it starts with a very simple thing, which we would encourage you to do, is to think about the questions you need to answer in order to achieve your next steps of action for you. Like, I would encourage you to break down your innovation process even further. Basically, innovation is all about problem solving, okay? It's all about problem solving. The whole process of journey, the whole journey is about problem solving. If you try to break it down and see that it's actually the whole journey consists of a whole row list of questions that you just need to answer and tackle one by one and one by one. Then you realize at some point you'll be reaching your goal stage, okay? So I'm going to go into some case studies. So this guy here is Kelvin Zheng, and he's actually my boss, all right? He is the founder of Unlimited Hong Kong, but there's a story here that I want to share that considers him at his younger stages. When he was actually, before he founded Unlimited, he was actually a young kid in England, in UK, and then it started with him like basically doing what I just said, becoming aware of a problem. He got aware of a problem, and then very soon he just found himself getting so bugged by that problem. He keeps thinking about it again and again. He got so many lists of questions. He started answering these questions. He started having these lists of actions to do, and very soon, sooner than later, he created a model called Food Cycle. And I would like to take a look at this video here and see what happened there.
Food Cycle takes surplus food from supermarkets and combines it with volunteers and spare kitchen spaces in order to cook tasty, nutritious meals for people at risk of food poverty and social isolation. We work through the hubs, which use our triple donation model. Supermarkets donate food, volunteers donate their time, and local partners donate a kitchen space. We've proved this works. In just 3 years, we've gone from 2 hubs to 14. We now have more than 1,000 volunteers who have served over 40,000 meals to 3,800 beneficiaries. But we're dealing with a wide-scale problem. An estimated 400,000 tons of food waste is thrown away by UK supermarkets every year. At the same time, 4 million people are affected by food poverty. Food waste and food poverty should coexist. And we have a proven solution to tackle it. We want to take our triple donation model to scale. Please help us by donating your surplus food, your time, your space, or your money. Please visit our website for more information.
Great. So using our breaking it down for you guys. So basically what happened with him is it started off him saying, as a young kid, he was a 22-year-old in UK in the streets, he noticed how large supermarkets would throw away tons of food that are still edible. We're talking about like really fresh, even fresh veggies. While he noticed, he got aware of another problem was that how in every community there would be people who are suffering from food poverty, meaning they don't get free meals a day or they don't even get enough like veggies or nutrition in their diet, okay? So basically what he did was he combined the two and came up with the idea of how, what if I turn the waste into value? Like, what if I just cook good food out of this, this bunch of waste stuff and then deliver it to people in need? So that's a very simple model, right? But let me put it away. Those are basically actions that he did in the starting phase. After answering those questions, he realized a list of actions he would do would be to gather volunteers, because when he had his idea, he was one person, right? So you need somebody to support him. So he needs to gather volunteers, natural logic, collect surplus food, and then the action would be to cook it in spare kitchens, serving qualities. Those are the 4 questions. But in order to achieve these steps of actions, he needs to answer this list of questions. Where will he find volunteers to support him? How can he persuade supermarket to give him their food? Do you notice how we talk about food waste today, right? But we talk about this being 10 years ago. 10 years ago, people barely think about these things. You know, you gotta persuade the supermarket people like, what? You don't want us to send these to the landfill? Why would you need this for? You gotta persuade people, right? When nobody ever heard of a new idea, and you gotta persuade people to imagine that vision and solution with you. That takes quite some skills. And so there are also practical questions like, how can you store all this food waste, right? You need spaces and stuff. And where can you cook this? Turns out he did a little bit of research, he went around the community noticing that in every community, there's a spare kitchen space. There's some sort of spare kitchen space that he could use. So he did that, and then in the end, and by the way, he wasn't a very good cook. He had to figure out how he can turn all that waste into nutritious, meals that are good for people. He told me that it took him 8 months before he can come up with the first dish. 8 months, and before all those trials and errors, like those dishes were just yucky. It wasn't edible. And so in the end, that's what he did. That's how he created. That's how he created this impact here. The impact would be, he started off being one person, right, with maybe 4 volunteers. In the end, over the course of 7 years, it became 1,200 volunteers. We're talking about like this thing is just. It's like a franchise charity model running on its own. From one location to 19, that number of nutritious meals and surplus food, and then creating also, by the way, a community of care for people. Because when you get volunteers who deliver meals to elderly and people in need, it comes with the service of caring, right? So that was really great for him. Another example that I would love to use, that is from Hong Kong. Anyone here heard of Guangfang? Anybody here? Okay, this is a guy, and as social enterprise, you guys need to know. I mean, while we're all blaming the government and saying that, oh, we've got housing issues, we have poverty, the government isn't solving anything. While we're all doing that, someone like Ricky actually created his own an innovation model to create the Hong Kong's first affordable housing initiative. So this model is kick-ass. Let me tell you how it works. You guys all, I don't know if you do know Cantonese, a little bit of Cantonese. Guangfang. It's actually a haiyam, I don't know, it's a synonym for Tongfang. How many of you here know Tongfang? Subdivided units. Have you heard of subdivided units in Hong Kong? Are you guys welcome? Okay, but that's fine. The point is, the poverty situation in Hong Kong is really bad. You find at least 15,000 of families in Hong Kong. At least, I think that number is wrong, but living in 40 square feet sort of cubicle homes. These are called subdivided unit flats. This is like an illegal way for developers to make money, by the way. They out of one apartment, they kind of create these cubicles sizes and to really feed off these poor people, and they have to pay for 40 feet square like $2,000 to $3,000 for rent. It's just ridiculous, you know. But then this guy, I think originally he was some sort of bank accountant or something.
He used to be the chair of Amway.
Oh, Amway. Okay, fine. He has nothing to do with social initiatives, okay? But sometimes your life, how it happens is funny. Like he finds himself coming into face to face with families that live in these 40 square feet cubic square. When we talk about families, we're talking about like a mother and carrying like a 6 to 7 year old child living in a tongfang, like a subdivided unit. Do you know what kind of condition they face? Because those are really illegal structures, a lot of this doesn't fit like housing development protocols, you know? So they usually have issues from like water dropping to, you know, the walls are so thin you can hear what's happening right next to them. People usually get into this place, the people living right next to you could be prostitutes, could be gangsters. We're talking about a 7-year-old child in a subdivided unit can't sleep at night because they have to listen to these, you know, just sex trafficking, whatever things that are happening right next door. Yeah, we're not talking about just 6% or a 16-year-old kid who can barely sleep in that stuffy place. How can he even educate him? You haven't even find proper education. So that's why Ricky, and as a result, he thought of a solution. Basically, what he does is he wants to bring hope to these people by pulling these families out of their poor subdivided units and put them in a nice little place, a proper place. Okay. So what does he do? He discovered that in Hong Kong, actually, there are at least more than 30,000 property owners who owns more than 3 to 4 properties. You get what I'm saying? Like, those properties are underutilized. They just sit there. And those people, they bear certain costs, but nobody's paying any market price for it. So he thought of his innovation is he thought of basically a deal with them. He made a deal with them, saying, since you've already been sitting there for like 3 to 4 years, why don't you just rent it out to us at a super low market price so that we can sublease these to the poor families? If you notice, it's not a charity, okay? I'm not just giving these poor people a place to stay. He's actually using a certain way to incentivize them by saying, okay, I'm going to give you enough, let you live in this place, rent by doing at a very affordable price according to what they can afford, okay? So that's really how the business model works. It's at a very low market price, and he marks up a little bit of the price, and then he gets that difference in between, and that's how he runs his model. And basically, and also another thing is, he's not going to let these people live in those houses forever. He promised them, you can only stay here for 3 years. You can only stay here. By the end of the 3rd year, I want to see your life change. Meaning, if originally in the original house they couldn't find a proper education, they couldn't find a job because of their poor living environment. In the new house, when they move in the new house, he's actually got him and his volunteers. They're actually going to visit them monthly and offer them a very upfront and effective social support. Meaning, if the mother has trouble finding a catering job, or whatever, he's gonna actually help them find that job, or literally do counseling surveys and really, or just being a friend, just figuring out, okay, what do you need? If you're helping them devise these action plans and goal plans and tell them, okay, your goal by the end of the third year, you need to be empowered, and your lives need to change. Your children are going to change, okay? I'm going to bring you hope. So that's basically what he did, and there are some really amazing examples of what he did. There's this kid, like there's this set of brothers, their mother got depression and everything, and they originally lived in such a poor place, but then after they moved into Guangfang, the light bee houses, life totally changed for them because they could sleep better, they could, they have got somebody to talk to them, he found them some volunteer tutors, their education, they got on track. In the end, that was such a great example because in the end that guy got scholarship or something, finished his degree, found a proper job, and even lifted, and then they left the light bee houses in the end. They left it and they got to afford their own property. So basically that's what it is. But coming back to the model, Ricky had to answer a bunch of questions in order to achieve this innovation. He had asked, so where can he source these tenants and property owners? How can he expand his network? So back then, he actually had one friend, or 2 to 3 friends, who happened to have more than 3 properties, okay, 3 sets of properties. And so he persuaded them to try it out with them, to experiment it. And ever since that one case, that pilot example where it showed certain signs of success, then other property owners started following in. And that's how he expanded from like just one light home into 30 to 30 something today, and then impacting on 60 plus families, and 100 individual lives got renewed. And yeah, these are the questions that they need to solve. It's really hard stuff. Yeah, these are really all the other questions. But in the end, the good result is that the government now loves this model so much they're going to partner with him. They're literally partnering with him to source tenants and extra properties, like underutilized properties. And yeah, he's just getting all kinds of support, and he's even organizing a new volunteer program and inviting volunteers to help him think of the empowerment model, because you see how they need to visit them monthly, right? So they're now soliciting for more volunteers to come and help. You don't have to have a social worker degree to help a family, okay? So he's actually doing a volunteer program, continuing to innovating in the empowerment and model area and to help these families. And so one last thing, it goes back to the idea generation model that we're using. I want you to take notice of how innovation happens. It actually, you notice if you look at all these examples, you realize there's one thing: the mental act of combining is actually really helpful in terms of innovation. Like for example, it's about how normally when you think along certain boxes and in certain lines, right? Nobody would look at food waste as potential for food, right? But what these people did was they tried to combine food waste with, put them in a different context, and suddenly new ideas came through. So nobody would think of a real estate agent as someone who can potentially also become a social welfare program, right? Nobody would think that, but he combines elements. And once that happens, ideas started happening. So if you look back to the idea generation model, we noticed that there are actually 4 things that you can combine, and then if you look into it, you'll start genuine ideas. First, it goes back to what we already did, the passion point. So these people, at their starting phases, they notice that they've got certain personal passion for this work. Like Kelvin really wanted to help people in need. He always wanted that. You just needed to express that, right? Ricky wanted to bring hope to people, and he just needed a playground to express that. So I would encourage you guys to take a look at yourself again, look at that sheet, and start drawing out what are your personal strengths, what are your passion parts, how can you leverage that for your social innovation. And then there's the issues and needs, which we already talked about, poverty, blah, 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 all this problem definition, and the skills and resource. One thing I noticed is we all want to think of a master plan that could work, right? But actually, in reality, most of those innovations didn't really happen that way, okay? These innovators started with looking at their resources, looking at what they have. They looked around, okay? Kelvin looked around and noticed there are spare kitchen spaces that could be used, and that generated ideas. And Ricky talked to friends. And he noticed, hey, I've got friends who've got underutilized properties. So that generated ideas. So realistically speaking, it's really not about academically or theoretically thinking of a master grade plan, but it's almost more like you're on the ground, you go to the streets, you meet your friends, you talk to them, and you really look at what you have and what you don't, okay? For example, Kelvin had, you know, he had these skills, right? But he didn't know how to cook maybe, so he needed other people's cooking skills. So he listed out what he had and what he didn't have. And what he didn't have became a question, a problem he needed to solve. And once he solved it, the thing came. The whole thing was just put together. The operation model actually has to do with the lean startup thing that I think you all went to the other class, right? So it's basically the same thing. So I would ask you guys to focus on the 3 parts first, and you will find that there's your possible impact. Yeah, that's the part. So if you don't mind, you can start working on it. Under each bubble, each element, try to think of what you know and what you don't. Like what pains you, like what is your personal strength, and what do you not know? Maybe you don't want to commit to, you can do this as an interest, but you don't want to do this as a job. These are the questions you need to answer. Like the problem, what you know, what you don't know, all that. What are the questions? And what resource you have and what you don't? And how can you get other people to help you? And all of that, yeah. So step 1, I will give you like 5 minutes of reflection time to think about this. And then first is step 1, and step 2 is you can talk to another person. Tell people like in the middle, like in the very middle, this is your core idea. This is your core idea of what you wanna, like your goal state, okay? Take this as your goal state. Like I wanna see happy, married people, for example. Then you try to think about, okay, what are their needs and issues? Like what's the problem here, and what you don't know? What are the questions? And your passion, you just fill it in. Like within the first circle, you can fill in what you know, and then the second layer of space, you can refer to you can try putting down questions of what you don't know yet, like questions you need answering, like what I just did just now. Like what are the questions that you need to answer that will help you generate ideas and your next steps? Yeah, that's what you're doing. I'm going to give you guys 5 to 10 minutes to do this. And actually, we don't expect you to finish things here, because usually we can go on with this for 3 hours. But I would encourage you to take this home with you as well, to do it and work with your friends as you go on. And later on, after 5 minutes, we're going to have this. We're going to introduce Mary to you. Okay? So let's start. For now, so we're now moving on to the next session, and where we're just again really honored to have the 2014 Hong Kong SEC winner, Mary Cheung, here today to share with us her journey and her process. And we're going to sit down with her and ask her some questions.
Hi guys, really good to be here today. And I'm basically gonna start off with telling you about myself and about the winning, the winning team called GE. And then there's gonna be a lot of story sharing. Because I think entrepreneurship is a hard road. You have to really have grit. What is grit? It's to carry on, to be persistent, and to believe in your idea, and to be able to communicate with people, and really have the heart to persist and continue in what you believe in. Even when a lot of people, for instance, your parents, your friends, don't believe in your idea, you have to keep going, because Steve Jobs did that, Microsoft, everyone did that. It's a hard journey, but once you find that idea that you believe in, trust yourself. Trust yourself. So what is my background? My background is actually architecture. So I did architecture back in Oh, hi. You know, actually, architects learn a lot from presentations and from building, because what's good about architecture? You learn about people. When you build something, it's like building a product. You have to understand their needs. You have to understand why they need light, what is the function of the building for. Is it a studio, is it a theater, or is it a university? What is it for, and who are your targets? What are their needs? What kind of pathway or what kind of doors are supposed to be for this kind of people and this sort of function? So understanding the need is the start. I found I was doing my master's at Hong Kong University when I met a group of people in need, and these were through community workshops. We did a lot of community workshops and talked to people about how we can improve the area, the urban planning, and what they need for their society, like their homes, or like in the gardens, like what kind of tables, what kind of chairs. And I actually met a lot of people who don't have jobs, who are jobless. But it's not because that they don't want a job, it's because they have a family to take care of, like single mothers. They have children who needs to go to school, but like they have to take care of their children. But during the daytime, that 4 hours of school, they have time for work. But what kind of work can they do? Because most of the jobs are part-time or a full-time job. So these are people, basically, who are in need of a temporary job. That is something that can help them, because they need that income. They need to sustain their families. These are people in need, who need a job, but then they cannot do a full-time job. So this was a problem that I found first. And that all adds up to 1.2 million people. So knowing your numbers is important too. It's not just about understanding. It's not just about the psychological side or being compassionate and being communicative. You need to think about what the market size is. When you think of a business, you need to look at how big the market is and how many people you are targeting to help. And this was our target. So the problem, there was another problem on the other side. A lot of business owners were actually closing down. It was on the TV and it was on the news and everything, that they couldn't hire enough part-time staff. They needed temporary staff. They needed temporary help because they only need help probably on weekends, or they only need help for events, or they only need help for a certain occasion, basically. So there are businesses who actually need these temporary helpers. But why can't they find each other? What is missing there? That is why we began Genie. It is a platform that matches these people in need of temporary jobs with people who need these people. So it is actually really bad that they can't find each other. And our solution is to match them through a mobile phone, because everyone has 3G nowadays. And through an app, they can easily find a job close to them, because time is money, traveling is money, and so everything matters. This is a vision. It's our vision is to become the global temporary placement. And we are still working on that. Always have hope and grit, remember. And this is our product. What we had was 2 apps. What we have now is 2 apps, the Genie app and the Employers app. The employers can look at their profile and the employees can find their jobs easily. So basically, we hope that they can really just apply for a job in 3 clicks. 3 clicks, find a job nearby, and you can go to work. We promise everyone that the salary, the minimum wage that we have on the platform is $45 per hour, and that is 30% higher than minimum wage, because we believe in equality, fairness, fair trade. And this is also a company mission that we have. And we've actually talked to Lightbeat. We're actually working with Lightbeat as well. So helping those women in need to find jobs. Sorry. I'll skip the product part because I think you guys might want to know more about entrepreneurship rather than a product, right? But how do you really build a product? It's about building a right team as well. So what we had in the team was that me and Cassie are basically really good communicators, and we talk to a lot of people, employer side, employee side, understand their needs, really go on the street, knock on doors, cold call, anything. Really, it's you have to just keep knocking and keep calling and keep talking. And you're probably repeating yourself like 100 times a day, but and sometimes you just feel really tired at the end of the day because people might not want to talk to you. But when you do find people who understand, who you can help, and people who appreciate it, I think that is one of the best rewards that you can have. Because, like, I think I've done over 500 cold calls, and there's this one time, this very nice lady actually WhatsApped me afterwards, and she was like, "Oh, Mary, I'm so happy that you called me because I'm surprised that you're still working at 9:50 p.m. at night. I'm just so glad that you guys have such a great service, and I want to say thank you." And I was like laughing all night. I was smiling all night because it was just really sweet that someone appreciates and that they know that you're trying to help them. So having a passion and having a heart, I feel is very important because it's affectionate. Rest of the team, Dom is the business guy, so he manages our business side of things. Finance is very important to keep track of, like do bookkeeping and financial projections. And we have 2 engineers. So 2 engineers working on the app who are a really great team because they communicate a lot as well. So team communication and team is very important. When you choose your teammates, you have to talk openly to them about your ideas and your visions, but not just talk, and listen as well, because it's teamwork. Our team, we believe in, we do votes. So we make decisions as a team a lot of times. But most of the time, because our visions are in line, because we've set our goals and missions at the very beginning, so we know that we're in line. So we don't have to spend hours on discussing about something that could be a waste of time. So managing a team and having good team communication is essential for a good startup because because you'll feel it, like it makes a whole world of difference. I see my teammates more than my partner, more than my parents, more than my dogs. Like, you basically see them all the time. And you, sometimes at night when there are jobs, there are overnight shift jobs, we might have to be messaging or calling each other at like 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 6 a.m. It's a team because we work together. Like when I see that there's a problem, like if there's a problem on site, then I'll have to call the engineers to help fix something immediately. And having that great teamwork, you can do it in 2 minutes. But if you don't, like the person doesn't reply in an hour, then you're gonna get really angry people and complaints. And that won't be good, trust me. So that's it about Jeannie. I think I'll let Meryl ask you questions.
Yeah, we'll just ask you questions and sit and we can talk, and then you guys need to ask questions, because one thing we do want to know about is the beginning stage of your journey, because these people are at the very beginning. They simply have a little idea that is still forming, in the process of being formed. So I guess I would ask you to bring us back to the earliest, to the very start of your journey. Like I don't know, like didn't you have a better career choice or anything? Like why did you pick this, or what sort of research did you do? Like what actions did you take to understand?
So I actually, I came up with the idea when I was studying. I was doing my master's at Hong Kong U at that time, and I joined a program called the Google EYE Empowering Young Entrepreneurs program, which was really, really inspiring and motivating. And at that program, it was like a wake-up call.
Wow.
It's kind of like, I want to be an entrepreneur. And if I don't do it now, I'm going to regret it, because when I'm 40, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to have kids when I'm 40, and I want to, do what I need to do now. And I've met these people that I know need help, and I see that there might be a solution. I need engineers. And I need to share my idea so that I can find a team that believes in the same thing, like to really affect people around you, and to find a team. I think the hardest part was to find a team at
Yeah,
first.
it sounds like
Actually, the first thing is the hardest thing probably is to find a really great team. Like sometimes people take Xiaomi. Xiaomi took 6 months to build his team. Before he had any products, he spent 6 months on finding the right team, because he believed that having the right soldiers means that you have an army that is like the 300 that can go fight on.
Yeah.
So team is the first thing. Second thing is understanding the needs. Really understanding the needs thoroughly.
Exactly.
Very, very thoroughly.
Yeah.
And really put yourself in their shoes. There's something called mocking. Mocking is basically shadowing a person.
Yeah.
So say, I think that you have a problem, and I'll follow you for 5 hours tomorrow, and basically I'll just look at what your habits are and where you go, who you talk to, how often do you use your phone, things like that. Mocking is shadowing. Is when you see when you know who you want to help, you have to understand their habits, their every part, their lifestyle. What are they doing on Monday? What are they doing on Tuesday? What are they doing on the weekends?
Yeah.
What time do they really need jobs? Say, if I find jobs that are during the afternoon for women in need, they're not going to be able to apply for these jobs because they got to take care of their kids. So the jobs that they need are in the morning, or like it's basically from 12 to 3. So basically they can't work at night.
So how long did it take for you to do that sort of intensive research?
Around 3 weeks. Around 3 weeks.
Okay.
Around 3 weeks.
To understand users.
Yeah. I started off by calling Women's Association by Jockey Club, and they were very, very nice. The guy in charge referred me to the Women's Center. So I went to the Women's Center and I talked to all of them and understood what their lifestyle is like, and if they could put their babies in at the caretakers, at the home care center, or like what type of jobs do they want to do, because actually they don't want to do cleaning jobs. They don't really like F&B, but they like calling because they can talk. They like selling because they can talk. They can cook as well. So you really need to understand what they like, what they like, what they need. So what they want and what they need. It's
So how do you
it's
source,
very important.
how do you source these users? Like how do you expand that network with potential group of users of your app?
There were so many ways because we did online and offline marketing. Online marketing being Facebook, blogs, Instagram, ads. Also, we were on the news. That created a lot of attention, which is another story.
Yeah, one thing I really liked about your sharing is you really understood of course as the founder, you totally were able to convey the heart of what you're doing. I think that's really attractive, like being able to convey the heart and the spirit and the essence and to attract people and to gain traction. I think that's a very important part to be able to share with them. And then with that comes your great team, because we all purposely need to support this vision and understand that even though it doesn't pay, I'm not sure, how are you holding up like with the payment and as an employment itself? Like how are you paying yourself and how is it a problem or struggle?
My income is not going to sustain my lifestyle. not now anyways, but hopefully next year, yes. Next year definitely, not hopefully.
Yeah, but that's like your common struggle with a lot of startups. That at the beginning you don't pay very well. You spend way too much time.
That's a really important part because your financial projections have to be very realistic. You need to carefully think about how much you want to spend, and marketing is also user acquisition, right? But how much can you spend per user on the acquisition? Like, you have to do a lot of realistic calculations and don't overestimate. Have hope, but don't overestimate yourself. Because if you overestimate yourself, then you might be in financial debt. We got a bit of funding, so at the moment we're okay with money, but we're not really paying ourselves.
To be honest, I need to talk about the competition a little bit, because to be honest, there are a few engines that are all about matching jobs and stuff, right? There are other apps.
Yeah.
So how do you differentiate yourself with the others, and how do you come up with that, your niche or your unique value proposition?
Our minimum pay is $45 per hour. And we believe, we also believe that Genie should turn into a lifestyle, because we really believe that millennials, the Z generation, it's growing. The job market is changing. There's a huge shift in going from full-time to temporary or freelance. People like freedom. It's a lifestyle, work-life balance. So what our goal is to expand our job scope into more interesting jobs. So not just cleaning, washing dishes. The normal temporary jobs are like security guard, F&B, these sort of work.
No,
But
this would be really
we really want to expand into different fields so that we can have more varieties and more creative temporary jobs that can allow people to work flexibly. So time-wise, it would allow people to earn money or learn something or meet people through working. And this app is here to match. So we're really looking into expanding our job scope into more interesting
No,
jobs.
that's what I call creating new values. Like, that's really forward thinking. I mean, 50 years ago, that I guess people wouldn't go into that area, but now they're considering what are the new range of needs of the new generation. Like, they're really refining their thought there. So I think that's a very good example of forward thinking and how when you are a truly creative enterprise might actually change culture altogether and not just like meeting the needs of a current culture, but actually help
Create a culture.
Pushing it forward.
Yes.
It actually, your model reminds me a little bit of potentially a sharing economy model as well.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely a sharing economy model. Because basically you're sharing resources and people can, hopefully one day people can find someone who's 10 meters away who can help you in life within 30 minutes. We want to build this sort of network where when someone needs help with something like, oh, I just realized that I'm on my way to the airport, but I forgot my charger. I need someone to deliver it quick. Like, let me go on the app and see if anyone can help me.
Yeah.
That's sort of urgency.
I think you look like someone you're very good at predicting problems. So can you predict any problems right now that you foresee that will happen as you develop on this course?
Problems on this course. Matching pay and really having the right balance, because for a marketplace like ours, balance is really important. Employers, employees. How many employers do we need? How many employees do we need to actually have successful job matches? So say if we have one job, and to get that one job filled, we actually need 200 employees on our platform. Because they might not be free, or they might not like the pay, or they might not like the job type, or like so there's a lot of matching. There's a lot of criteria when it comes to matching something.
Yeah.
So a balance. The chicken and egg growth is really important. So as you go into a new sort of a more creative direction, that means that it's even harder to find the right match, which means that we'll need to have like hundreds of thousands of people, employees on the platform, in order to really have a match within one day, or within like that time span.
That's a huge challenge, I think. But I also think I'm wondering what's the cultural impact of this. You know, like I'm wondering if is the turnover rate like really quick, or like because it's a kind of a temporary thing, right? How do you protect your employees, like the users, from getting I don't know, like I see it's a very temporal relationship, right? So it's like in and out, in and out.
Oh, yeah. So another problem with temporary jobs is that people don't take it seriously because it's temporary. It's like a one-night stand. If you see a relationship, it's like, since I'm not going to see this person again, I really don't need to put any effort. I don't need to please them because he's not my boss, and it's a part-time. It's not even a part-time. It's a temporary thing. Like, I don't have to come back. And that is a huge problem. That's another problem that we're solving. How we're solving that is basically like eBay, Taobao, ratings. So everyone has a profile. Everyone gets rated after they complete a job. After the job is complete, since they will be rated and they know that they will be, they'll know that if you want to apply for a job, if I apply for a job, I will turn up because I'll be blacklisted.
Yeah.
And we do blacklist people. We blacklist people who are irresponsible, blacklist people who keep using the platform in inappropriate ways.
Exploiting the platform.
Yes.
That's really good. So do you guys have any questions?
So actually, Cassie was my neighbor. She lived like about 10 floors below me, and she had a startup back then. And she's very hardworking. I'm very hardworking too. and around like 9, 10, I'd be like, oh hey, have you had dinner? And we'd be like, oh okay, no, let's cook a noodle, don't like me, whatever. And we'll just have a noodle and open a bottle of wine or like beer, and we'll chat. And normally I'll bring my laptop with me, or she'll bring her laptop with me, and we work together on the sofa after dinner. So she told me all about her co-founder problems before we were co-founders. So I knew her problems. I knew she's been through that, and she knows what it is like to have a co-founder or a partner.
I'm assuming Cassie was in marketing. Your background.
Marketing.
Yes, Cassie's marketing.
But your tech and your business or the sales team,
Cassie went to school with one of the tech person, and the other two were older, were from the same school, but they were from like 2 years above. So they went through the same tech training.
That sounds very like serendipity. Like it sounds like life prepared you for that. Like to have your partner living a few floors below you.
Yeah, and it just happened 2 years later, and I basically moved out of that building as well, but we were still in touch. Yeah, and I had mutual friends with, Facebook connects people. I had mutual friends with the other engineers. So I would kind of ask my friends what these guys are like. And it's good to know before. It's really good to know before. And actually most of my friends, no, all of my friends, not most of my friends. Oh, Dom? He's the best guy ever. He's really good. Yeah, he's really smart.
Oh, that's really good.
Okay.
Oh, this is meant to be.
Yeah.
Really great.
I love my team.
Yeah, it sounds like that. So what are the next milestones for you guys right now?
We're raising. And so for the next few months, we're going to start raising basically by the end of this month. And the next milestone is getting 10,000 users, active users. That's a difference between active users and just registered users.
I wanted to ask you a little bit about improvements. Like this whole model, you went through a lot of testing and retesting, right? Sort of thing. And I think that's a very crucial part of the social innovation journey. You've got to test and retest. So, so how have you improved? Like, how was your thought pathway that guided you to create the product it is today? How was the journey? What was the journey like?
At the very beginning, we just basically used mock-ups, like prototypes. Did you guys learn about that this month? Like at least it's basically lean startup, right? So you have a prototype, and you go to these potential users and ask them to try to use the app, and really don't talk to them when they do it, and don't guide them, because that's a common mistake. If you go like, oh hey, why don't you try that button there? Then that's not valid, right? Because you taught them how to use it. What you do is you ask them to complete a task. Say, oh, can you please apply for a job? And can you please complete a profile? And look at where they're pressing, what their what they react to. So that was the first part of it. Second part of it is after the app is built. So we have analytics behind the system, and the analytics track where their fingers are going. So you know what they're pressing and how many people stop at what point. If they stop at that point, that means it's a potential blocker. So that's a page that you need to look at and think, what is wrong with it? Is it the job, or is it the layout? Is it the product, or is it, yeah. So we use analytics. Sometimes we call them and ask for feedback. And that would be a good questionnaire, because it's basically a questionnaire. And understanding your customers is really important, because then you know how you can serve them.
It's really amazing. So it started in 2014, you're saying, and it's just been a year, and it seems to me you've achieved so much. That's really quite amazing. I think what amazing, it seems to me you're like a 1-year baby, but you have so many resources already. You've already gone through like a lot of it. Like how do you? I think a lot of us here they feel like they're one person thinking of an idea, but it seems to me you're very good at generating resources. Like, or I don't know, how do you gather resources for yourself?
Resources as in?
Like anything from networks, contacts, if you want to try it on people, or, you know, like the analytics, you know, how do you get all that?
Join programs, go to events that you think you might learn from, like analytics talk, or there's a lot of startup networking talks, or talk to people. A lot of people feel that they should never share their idea because ideas can be copied or stolen.
Yeah,
but I really don't believe in that, because I mean, if someone wants to steal my idea, you still have to have a team, or you still have to have the grit. You still have to work on it for a period of time.
Yeah, share.
So sharing with people, you can actually get nice feedback. You talk to them, and like there are actually a lot of nice people around, and they will give you suggestions. And I think talking to people sometimes help myself to reorganize my thoughts too. And sometimes it's sort of like, it's not the person that I'm talking to helped me or gave me the suggestion, it's because I was talking about it and they were asking me questions. And it's just something that Actually, why didn't I do that?
Oh my gosh,
Yeah, you gotta talk about it. Because the more you talk about it, the more you think about it, the more you think about it, the more solutions you come up with. And with startups or with any business, it's about going past these hurdles. You're gonna have tons of problems every day, every week, every month. Big ones, small ones. But it's about unlocking these locks and opening doors. And sometimes really you just need someone to help you.
Yeah, that's actually really
Either
nice.
Google it or talk to people.
It's great. What you just said totally is what Unlimited would promote, by the way. Actually, today you guys didn't get to experience the actual idea generation experience, by the way. I gave you a sheet, but normally in real time, we actually force you guys to come out here and talk about your ideas. And then once you talk about your idea, you find yourself trying to define the thing, people will start asking questions and then you can crowdsource feedback. Actually, the real kind of way you gotta experience it, you gotta really talk to me. One thing, like she said, it's not about like safeguarding your idea, because ideas don't worth a dime until it's actually being executed. Like, everybody copies the idea of a coffee shop, right? I mean, how many coffee shops are there to be copied? But to create your own coffee shop, it takes really a lot of, the co-creation process actually takes the other person, like someone to give you a feedback loop and talking. So today we didn't get to experience it today, but I really encourage you guys to talk to your friends and your family, not just family, just or unknown strangers, anyone, and really. So I think we're kind of running out of time. Okay, so we've got 10 minutes left. So any other questions that you might want to ask?
So you mentioned you had 6 co-founders. So how you make decision, effective decision? Because normally it takes a long time to make decision.
We have a leader in every field. So say Dom would make decisions, financial decisions. CTO Kelvin will make tech decisions. Cassie makes marketing decisions. And I make some other decisions, like operations and like understanding people and like talking to people. Yeah, so whoever's responsible for that field, you're the expert in that. And I'm not going to challenge you because I trust you. I trust you as a teammate, and you are better at marketing than I am. So your decision should be the best.
So empowering your teammates.
Yeah, because that's what they're here for, right? So it's a complementary team that everyone has different skill sets where you can put together and generate a team that has synergy.
So one last question from me is, so what is the hardest thing about this whole journey so far? Like, what's that part? Was there ever a point where you feel like, oh my God, this is like really, really too difficult, or it really hit you, and then on the other hand, what's the most rewarding? What's the most rewarding?
Rejections. I think rejections are really defeating, like, especially like getting rejected so many times a day, or waiting at a coffee shop for people to turn up, and then like there's supposed to be 30 people and just like 3 people turn up. Then you know, and it would be like, I remember there was this one day that, because at first our interviews were not online, I would actually go out to coffee. We didn't have an office either, so I would go to Starbucks and have a whole day scheduled interview. And I would think, man, I'm helping you guys. I'm not even charging. And you don't even appreciate my effort. Like,
Yeah.
And it was really disheartening, actually. And I remember that night I just had to have some ice cream.
Just ice cream?
Yeah, I had ice cream and I walked at the harbor front. Like,
Oh,
I walked around alone thinking, you know, maybe this is, you know, I was thinking, oh, why aren't people doing this? And how many times am I going to get rejected for, is this actually going to work? But that is not a good mindset. Don't dwell on things that didn't work. Think about how you can solve a problem. So, you know, got some breeze at the harbor, had my ice cream, and I was like, actually, no more interviewing at Starbucks. It's either the email that is wrong, the language should be done in a different way, or the scheduling should be done in a different way. Interviews has to be more efficient. If they don't turn up, I'm gonna put them on like a potential blacklist list. Think about solutions and think about, you know, this is gonna be a bottleneck for your business, and I can't afford to spend another day waiting for people who don't turn up because, you know, they're not up to my standard. Don't think about solutions. Now we brought our interview online. We have a test as well. So it's a psychometric test to test how committed they are. Because commitment and reliability is related. So we use psychometric tests now. Anyways, the point is, when you feel defeated, when you feel rejected, don't feel sad. Just move on. Just move on. It's like you don't have time to waste. You're at war and you've got competitors. So you just gotta move on and you gotta think of new solutions. You gotta think of creative solutions, new solutions. I don't know, read something, go online, talk to people.
But ultimately, there must be something that drives and motivates you, other than I don't want to lose, maybe, but there's also, there must be a very rewarding part of this thing that makes you want to keep going.
People being thankful. Like I said earlier on, like when I know that there are people who get smashed because of us and they wouldn't have found that extra income otherwise, you know that you're really helping, you're really creating value. You're really creating value. So I guess when you get the recognition in the way that you know that you've created that value, that
you're making
you you're making a difference. Yes.
Yes. Okay.
When you see that you're really making a difference, I think that is.
There's a. Thank you so much, Mary. It's was
Thank
great
you.
sharing. Thank you so much. Yeah. So now our whole workshop. Thank you so much, Mary. Will come to an end. So really, I hope you guys enjoyed this whole process. As you can see, social innovation, the whole journey, it's a very heavy, it can be a very heavy, a very dramatic, a very, and a very inspiring journey. So I really hope you guys took away what you needed to learn. And I just want to wrap this whole thing up with one last part, and that is, where is the last part? Yeah, at the back of that idea generation sheet is this thing called My Next Steps. To be honest, we really want you guys to think about your next step today. Like I always say, like we always say, there's actually I've done a few workshops and I notice how a lot of people think that it's about the master plan. It's about getting everything right at the beginning before you take a step. But then I'm going to refer you to this quotation here because that's a lot of people agree with that. Because at the end of the day, it's by starting that first step and then gathering that feedback. And based on that feedback, you think of the next step, that you actually go through the whole journey of social innovation. So please today you've made a step, so really go home and think about what is your next little step that you can do to help drive yourself forward. Think of yourself, think of that in these 5 terms. We really care about, think of it like this, like it has to be time bound. The action needs to be something you can do within the next few days or the next few weeks or next month. And then it's got to be a very specific one. You can't just say, I want to help people. You know, you've got to say like a specific action. Like I want to talk to Women's Foundation or whatever, okay, by what time. And then it has to be measurable. You've got to have a goal, and you've got to know when you've already achieved that goal. And also you need to know that it's achievable. That goal needs to be something that, yeah, that within your one-man person, before you got your whole brilliant team together, as a one person, you can do that on your own. You have to differentiate that. And last but not least, it has to be relevant. I think one of the great things about Mary's project is I think she really had a clear vision. She had a vision. I think the heart of what that was kind of drove her journey forward. So so every step of the way, I've seen other projects that my company has supported, and there are people who get lost in the details, you know, get really lost, and then they forget that what they're doing is actually relevant to what they believed in the first place. So I really would remind you guys to be aware of how every action needs to be relevant to your vision, your original vision, and everything, and that's really it. So that's the end of our whole workshop.